Hey, vets and families, my name is Craig, and I help veterans go from feeling stuck and unseen after service to living with confidence, connection, and purpose so that they can live royally and live well. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. And today, the Lunch and Learn is a little bit past the time that we had expected, but we're going to do our very best to make sure that we still provide everything that is needed for the Lunch and Learn and everything that vets need to live royally and to live well. All right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to answer some questions from around the web, which is normally how we do things. You guys know how we do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to see if I can pop into the chat some questions that we have from around the web. Let me pull away some other things so that I can get myself together. All right, there we are. Okay, so let's tackle the first question. But wait, before we do that question, before we tackle the first question, let me say something. The first thing I want to say is just a couple of church announcements before we get started. A couple of church announcements. First church announcement is that probably in somewhere the week of the 4th of July, or maybe even on the 4th of July, Independence Day of this year, I am going to have something very special for veterans. What you will be able to do if you are joined to the channel is you will be able to click on, I'll have on my join side of the channel, my membership side, I'm only going to have one video. And in that video, it will have four things. It's going to have 3 PDFs. And in all of those PDFs, they will be claim playbook guides that will be able to assist you in submitting and filing your claim if you've never filed a claim before, or even if you have filed a claim before and you want to get into some different strategy and some different perspectives of how to file your claim, or you want to learn how more to file it current, accurate, and complete. I will have those ready to go and ready for you to look at. It's got, so every PDF that I do, it has at the beginning all of the information about that particular topic or that particular subject. It has a strategy of how to submit your claim for that particular subject. It has all of the 38 CFR and M21-1 guidance on that subject. And then also it has an appendix at the end that will give you an acronym or a chart or a graphic that will help you as a reminder when you file your claim for that particular condition or that body part or what have you. So what it'll have is it'll be 3 of those, and it will also be, and this is what I'm really excited about, there will also be in that one video a link to a Google Calendar where you can just click on that link and look at the calendar of the times that you'll be available and the times that I have available, and you can simply put schedule yourself to come up on that calendar, and I will pop on for a one-on-one with you for an hour. I think it's 45 minutes. I think I'll set it up for 45 minutes. You can hop on with me. And this is not to prepare, prosecute, or execute your claim or anything like that. What this is for is if you feel stuck, like you really just don't know where to go. Let's say you're sitting on active duty or something and about to get out of the military, or let's say you've submitted claims before, or let's say you've never submitted a claim and you're like, you know what, I just don't know what the next step might be. That is the opportunity to connect with me so we can sit down, we can go over the regulations, and we can guide you and lead you to the next step to get your claim in the system so that you can start living royally and live well. The only thing that will cost you is whatever cost it is to join the channel. I think right now it's $4.99. I think it's $4.99 to join the channel. $4.99, join the channel, hop on there, and you'll click on and this is going to start. It's just a precursor. I'm going to start advertising this probably around the middle of June. At the beginning of July, I will have, probably Independence Day, I'll have that link available for you. All you do is click on the link. You're like, oh, there's a calendar. Click on that calendar, schedule an appointment with me. We'll sit down and have a VA claim strategy call. Maybe you don't even know what the next step is as far as finding a VSO or looking into assistance or looking into getting an accredited claims agent. I'm there to help guide you through that. Or maybe you just want to pray or maybe you just want to cry. We could do that too. Please remember and understand that once this goes live, it does not count as any level of VA claims assistance. Neither is there a therapeutic or client relationship established. This is just an opportunity to help as many vets as possible get unstuck when it comes to VA claims process. Or even maybe you're getting on there saying, Craig, I have no idea how to register for VHA healthcare. And so we sit down, we walk through that process, we get you all registered. Maybe we make a phone call, to someone, or maybe we kind of walk you through a particular process that just seems cumbersome or complex. All right. Or maybe I get you to the resources and the experts that you need. Okay. And once I get you to those resources and experts that you need, it's all on you. You can roll. I'll still be available, still be there for you. But I just want to be able to be a resource and a help to vets who are struggling. All right. So that's the first church announcement. Second church announcement, I'm not really going to go into that much. I will just say that there is something cooking at the end of the month that we have with a couple of other wonderful content creators, Her Vet's Voice being one of them and Dwayne Kimball being the other. And we have a special treat for you guys. I won't go too much into that because HVV already talked about it over on her channel. I think it's going to be a situation where you will be able to join on any of our channels, one of those 3 channels, where you'll be able to go live, and we will have everything from start to finish, on submitting your VA claim. I know some of you guys come on the lives and you come on HVV's channel and you're like, man, I just want to hear more about claims. All right. I just want to hear more about claims. Well, this will be the smorgasbord and the deluxe and the deluxe of claims for you guys. All right. So like if you want to understand more about the claim, you want to understand more about how to submit, you want to understand more about what that looks like, then we will be there for you to help you through. That's a song, isn't it? That's Friends. I'll be there for you. That's us. We're your friends when it comes to VA claims. All right, so stay tuned for more of that. I'm sure there will be more advertisement, as they say, when it comes to that. Okay. So be encouraged. Make sure that you step in. Hey, Toya, I didn't know you joined. How you doing? Make sure you tap into that, and make sure that you take advantage of all of this wonderful information that we are trying to give so that vets can be encouraged and so that vets can be empowered to do what they need to do. All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to tap into these questions that we have. All right. And I got another thing open here just in case I need to see any folks that come up into the chat. Toya, good to have you here with us. All right, here is the question. And so after I go through these questions, as is our custom, I'll go through some questions from around the web. And then I normally just do 2. And then I'll go into like today's sort of masterclass insight learn. And we'll go from there. All right. And I have something to say to veterans as well. Just a little something from Unc that I want to say to you. Nothing bad, but just a little something from Unc that I want to say to you. All right, let's look at this first question. All right, so this question is sort of in parts, and I hope that Hold on a second. That don't look like it's showing on the whole thing. So let me see. Let me go to my properties on here. Let me see. Let's see if I can do, maybe. Does that fix it? Okay. So I'm gonna have to read it because it's not coming up fully on the screen. So I'll read it to you guys, but I'll put every part up there. So the first part of it is helping my granddaughter get Chapter 35 benefits. Her dad is a war veteran with 100%, but not permanent. Died in 2019 from a drug overdose. Okay. The second part of the question is working with an American Legion to get his VA records for his record of drugs issued by the VA. Okay, that's the second part of the question. And then the third part of the question is she was denied and we are going to appeal. The VA won't give her any of his records, even though she is the next of kin. And let me put that little hey up there by Miss Toya. All right. So this is what we're going to do. All right. Hold on. All right. This is what we're going to do. We're going to answer this question as we always do in parts. First part of the question is that this person is helping their granddaughter get Chapter 35 benefits. All right. What do we know about Chapter 35? All right. What can we say about Chapter 35? And I just realized that I didn't put my other source up here. Hold on a second. Oh man. Let me see if I put my little source up here. Well, I don't necessarily have to do that. I could just pop in this way. Okay. What do we know about Chapter 35? Chapter 35 benefits are dependent educational assistance benefits. All right. And Chapter 35 benefits are typically awarded to people whose veteran is either 100% permanent and total disability, or whose veteran died or passed away. Okay. And it actually comes from the Sergeant Major Fry benefit, right? I think that was the original name of the Chapter 35. Okay. So yeah, I just want to make sure that I have this right. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Sergeant Major Fry. Okay. So that's what it was originally named, the Sergeant Major Fry benefit, right? Survivors of Dependents Educational Assistance. And it provides monthly stipends to eligible spouses and children of vets who are permanently disabled, who died in the line of duty, or who are MIA. That's the third one that I was looking at. That was MIA. Okay. Now, when I look at the first part of this question, it says dad was a war veteran with 100%, but not permanent. That kind of seals the deal in a lot of ways, right? If he was not permanent in total, then that's the clear first step, right? If he was not permanent in total, then there would have been two other things that would have satisfied the requirement for this particular benefit. Not permanent in total, but he would have had to die in the line of duty, meaning in combat, at war, even if he was on a ship and the ship was attacked and he died fighting the ship, or if he was in the Air Force or a plane, something like that, right, during a time of war, in the line of duty, or he was missing in action, meaning plane went down somewhere or he was found somewhere and he was stuck somewhere and he was not able to be found. Okay. So those are the three instances or the three cases where they would be eligible. So when you get to that first part of the question, that kind of answers everything. I think that this person got caught up, like for example, 100% but not permanent, died in 2019 from a drug overdose. In this case, if he would have been a 100% permanent in total, it would not have mattered how he died. What matters when it comes down to how you die is if you die from a service-connected disability, that determines whether or not your survivor gets dependent indemnity compensation, right? You have to die from a service-connected disability in order for them to get that. But in this particular case, it's very clear that the 100% was not permanent in total. Okay, so it says working with an American Legion, VSO told us to get his VA records for his record of drugs issued by the VA. So it looks like what they're trying to do is connect the drug overdose, connect the drug overdose to the purpose by which he died, and connect the drug overdose to the insert to the as a nexus to the compensation. So it looks like they want to take the nexus and put it with the compensation, like the service-connected disability, and make it as having to do with the drug overdose. This is interesting because it says working with an American Legion VSO told us to get his VA records for his record of drugs issued by the VA. It seems to me like that they may be trying to connect the drugs issued by the VA to the reason why he died, and that's why the overdose happened. I am not sure about that, but I will definitely look into that and see. I would look into that and see like if that's even something that can be done. Okay, so the last part of it says that she was denied, and we are going to appeal. The VA won't give her any of his records, even though she is the next of kin. Now, we've talked a lot about the manner in which you already request VA records. It involves a power of attorney. It involves getting VA to authorize release. And I want to say, unless this person was the power of attorney for this individual before they passed away for their VA records, it will be very difficult to establish that power of attorney, because generally when you give someone power of attorney for your records, you have to give that power of attorney over before while that person is still alive. They have to sign the power of attorney for authorized release of the records. And so this is going to be a tough road to be able to get it. First of all, to get the drug overdose service connected. And the other thing that would need to happen is they'll have to get a decision for 100% P&T. That's the other thing that needs to happen, because right now, as it stands of record, this person is just 100%. I don't know. They may be 100% TDUI or 100%. They don't really state it in the question, but they just could be 100% right with a 5-year reexamination. So, going to be a hard road to toe for that, but that is the answer to that question. And what I'll do, if I can remember, I'll try to put more resources on chapter 35. So, all right. Well, it looks like y'all are asking some questions, so I don't have to go get another one from the net. Hello, Indy Perez 5444. How are you doing? Indy Perez 5444 says, I would like to ask you when you are doing the video on how to read your medical record. When I'm doing the video, do you mean when I do the calls, or do you mean now? Because I could just try to show you now. Let me know what you mean on that, Indy Perez, and then I'll do you want me to do a video on how to do it? Okay, I will do a video. I think that's what you mean. Yes, I will do a video on how to read your medical record. All right. As a matter of fact, I can do that video next week. I'll make sure that I have that for you. All right, Global Entry 25, how are you doing? It says, I've been trying to get benefits over 10 years. I'm now being told to get a Nexus letter. Are there any recommendations? Well, it really depends, Global Entry 25. What are you submitting a claim for? And is the thing that you're being recommended to get a Nexus letter for, are they conditions that are already listed in your service treatment records? Are they conditions that fall under one of those 5 VA rating theories? So Global Entry 25, it could be a condition that you had before you got into service and was aggravated. That's one rating theory. It could be a condition that you incurred from an injury, illness, or event while on active duty. That's another rating theory. So that's what's called a direct claim, right? Direct service connection. I got you, Indy Perez. I got you. I'll take care of it. It could be something that is a secondary service connection to the primary service connection or direct service causation while you were in. That's another claim. It could be something that's presumptive, that's from terror exposure, or any other one of the list of presumptive claims for when you were in some area of responsibility, like Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, the Vietnam War, where you maybe were exposed to Agent Orange and those kinds of things. Or that's a service connection theory, or it could be what's called an 1151 claim, according to the M21-1, where there was some sort of medical procedure that was done, and it's the military's fault, or perhaps it's the VA's fault, some procedure, right? And you're claiming that. So you gotta let me know a little bit more information. Trying to get benefits is kind of vague. But if you want to just know the process of how to get benefits, then the process of how to get benefits is to file what's called an intent to file form. That's a form you can find at va.gov. You can file it online. You can fax the form in. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can. I'm going to do you one better. Global Entry 25. And I'm just going to put the link in the chat for the intent to file. Because perhaps you fall in that category of someone who. There you go. I just put the link in the chat. Because perhaps you fall in the category of someone who has never filed a VA claim before. So you know nothing about this process. All right. And were you and I in that call that I was talking about earlier? If let's say you just hopped on my calendar and was like, hey, Craig, I got to talk to you about my VA claim. If you hopped on and was like, man, I've never submitted a claim before ever in my life, I'd be like, okay, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to submit an intent to file, because what that does is it holds your back pay date. So if you submit, say, an intent to file on June the 5th, let me plug my computer up, or else I'm not going to be with y'all for long. Let me plug this thing up. All right. I ain't going to be with y'all for long if I don't plug this up, because my computer needs to be charged. Okay, there we go. Let's say you file an intent to file on June the 5th of 2026. That means you have until June the 4th of 2027 to submit a claim. Okay. So you have, essentially speaking, 364 days to file a claim. On that 365th day, you would have to file a new intent to file to make sure your back pay goes back to that particular day, because it's only 1 year that it goes back to, because it may take the VA some time to process your claim. So you submit an intent to file June the 5th of 2026. Let's say you're gathering evidence and you're not able to submit your claim until September 2026. If the VA decides your claim January of 2027, then you get back pay to June 5th of 2026. So that's how that goes. All right, gotcha. Thanks so much. I don't have much in medical records. Just shin splints, stress fracture. I filed and been denied. Oh, okay. Let me ask you something, Global Entry 25. When did you file that claim? And what did you submit if you didn't have medical records? If you didn't have much in medical records, what did you submit when you filed that claim? because I'm gonna drop you another link. You know, I'm just feeling good today. Global Entry 25. I feel blessed, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop you another link. Yeah. So, but while I'm dropping you that link, let me know, like, what did you submit with your initial claim? Who did you submit it with, and when did you submit it? So you said Shin splint and stress fractures. Shin splint stress fracture. I would assume it's the stress fracture of that, like, tibia bone or whatever, below the knee or what have you. Maybe perhaps tibia or fibia stress fracture. I'm assuming that's what it is, but let me know. Either way, I got one link to send you. All right. It's quite a bit of reading to do, but hang on a second. Yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can. Okay. So look, what you're probably talking about is the medial tibial stress syndrome. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and drop you a link. All right. This here is the 38 CFR. All right. Here's the 38 CFR. And what I'd like you to do, Global Entry, is I'd like you to take a look. So when you get to that link, when you pull it up, I want you to go to like, you know how you search on the page, like it's either Control F or Command F if you've got a Mac. When you search on the page, I want you to put Shin splints in there. And when you do that search, and hit Shin splints, it's going to take you directly to, under the musculoskeletal ratings, medial tibial stress syndrome, or MTSS. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to do this in parts. So medial tibial stress syndrome, MTSS. All right. And it talks about, okay, nothing to support it. Yes, tibia, submit online. I had a guy submit before. I really appreciate your help. All right, cool. No problem. So medial tibial stress syndrome, or Shin splints, it's going to have in there, it's going to have, it'll have several things, right? So what I'm about to put in here is at the 30%, is at the 10% level. Let's start at 0, okay? Let's start at 0. 0, hey, Herved's voice, what's going on? Glad you stopped by to join us. All right, so this right here, Global Entry 25, that's at the 0% level. Now, why is that important? A lot of people think if you get 0%, that doesn't mean anything, but that's incorrect. If you have a 0% rating, that means the VA has determined that you have what's called, and it's crazy, you would pop on Herved's voice because you literally just did a video about favorable findings. This means that the VA has said that there is a favorable finding on your behalf. Now, listen, it means that the VA has said that there is a compensable favorable finding. Okay. And 0% is a compensation. There's not a monetary compensation associated with 0%, but 0% is a compensation rating nonetheless, because Global Entry 25, you get that 0%, and the VA has identified not only that you have a favorable finding of a diagnosis, but they have identified that, hey, listen, you got a favorable finding, and you can now get treatment if that condition gets worse. So treatment less than 12 consecutive months, one or both lower extremities. Let's say you start having more treatment, okay? And that situation starts getting worse. You gather your evidence, you gather your treatment records and your notes from the doctor or your notes from the specialists, right? And then once you get enough of that to determine that you need another CMP exam because that stuff has gotten worse, right? Then you submit a VA claim again, and you may get up to this level. Let's see if I can fit all of this in here. Let's see if we can try to fit this in here. Does that all go in there? Yep. Okay. This right here, Global Entry 25, and I'm just kind of walking you through the succession. This is requirement treatment for no less than 12 consecutive months, unresponsive to either shoe orthotics or other conservative treatment, one or both lower extremities. That right there is the 10% level. Okay. Now let's say you submit that, they give you 10%, and you say, man, like I think these shin splints or this MTSS is going to get much worse, right? Then that's when you gather more things to get up to this particular level. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you what the method to my madness is here in a second. So that's the third thing, right, that I've put in the chat, Global Entry 25. After you've gathered more things, that's the 20% level. Okay, 20% compensation for those types of symptoms that are related to your MTSS. And then, of course, you would move on, and the highest evaluation, the highest percentage evaluation for MTSS is this, which is at the 30% level for that condition. All right, requiring treatment for no less than 12 consecutive months and unresponsive to surgery and either shoe orthotics or other conservative treatment, both lower extremities. Why did I paste all of those in there? Because you could literally take these symptoms from the 38 CFR, chapter 4, musculoskeletal, I think it's 4.71, musculoskeletal. You could take these symptoms from the 38 CFR, and when you're writing your personal statement about how your condition has gotten worse, you can add these symptoms in that personal statement, provided you are actually experiencing those things, and talk about how it relates to your functional impairment, talk about how it has degraded your ability to be able to physically maneuver, and you could submit that as evidence on the VA Form 21-4138 with your claim. I just gave you what you could put right in your letter. Now, I mean, don't put that specifically, or you could refer to that specifically. Or you could say, listen, my symptoms very closely mirror the symptoms located for an MTSS condition that worsens over time, according to 38 CFR 4.71, and in this particular manner. And then you list these particular symptoms and say, yeah, this is exactly what I'm experiencing. Unresponsive to treatment, even after I've had surgery, or even after I've tried to treat it. Then this is what is occurring, right? And so I'm respectfully requesting, hey, 66. So I'm respectfully requesting compensation, VA disability compensation, based on these particular facts and findings. Okay. All right, Global Entry 25. Best of wishes on your claim. Remember, you can always come back here and ask questions. You can always, if you just want to email me directly, I'm gonna put this in here. Okay, there's my email address there, Global Entry 25. Fire away. Oh, thank you so much, 66T Love. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, y'all. Come on, like and subscribe. Listen, if you feel so inclined, put something in the collection plate. Praise the Lord. We're just over here trying to help veterans out. That's all we're trying to do. All of your donations will go to making this channel better, getting the word out. So come on, like and subscribe. Listen to old 66T Love, as she said, or as they say, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. All right. Thank y'all so much. Now let's get to, since we've answered a few questions here, I want to get to our little insight for today. All right. Now, the insight for today is I want to start doing these lives, and we won't be able to do it all today because, we gotta, we try to keep this at about an hour or so. So we won't be able to do it all today, but we'll be able to do some of it today. If you're filing a VA disability claim, all right, I want you to understand a couple of things. A lot of veterans submit their claim, guys, and then they spend a lot of time checking the VA website, va.gov, and I know, because I did it when I submitted my claim, wondering, and they wonder kind of like, what's going on behind the scenes? What are they doing with my claim? Okay. They get status updates. Like, have y'all ever seen people get these status updates, or perhaps you've gotten them yourself? Evidence gathering, or review of evidence, or preparation for a decision, those kinds of things. Okay. But a lot of times people don't really know what that means. Like, people don't know what those statuses means, right? And a lot of times, because they don't understand the process, they often miss opportunities to strengthen their claim, to avoid mistakes, and then to protect their effective dates. When we was on HVV's live, I can't remember which one this was. Actually, this This might have been the last one. And she was talking about how a lot of times veterans don't read the whole decision letter, and there may be a favorable finding in that decision letter. But if you just toss that decision letter to the side and, don't take care of the favorable finding, right? Or if you don't address the favorable finding, you might miss something that's very important. Let me say something else to you guys, and that's just, this right here is free. It ain't gonna cost you nothing. This is a word coming FedEx from on high. It ain't gonna cost you nothing. All right. I want to share something with you guys. Global Entry 25. Was it Global Entry 25? Yeah. When I was helping Global Entry 25, I gave him the requirements for 0% for MTSS, or I gave them a requirement for 50% for MTSS. Now, one of the things that's very, very interesting is a lot of people think 0% is just nothing, right? But I want to share something with you, and I think that this might be congressionally mandated. So, but I want to share something with you guys, and I want to make sure that it's still a thing. Okay, because I think this will be helpful to you guys. Okay, I'm gonna look it up for you. It's not much. It's not much, but listen. According to this link, I'm gonna put it right in the chat for y'all, and so y'all don't think I'm fibbing. Okay. Now, a lot of veterans think that just getting a 0% rating is nothing, but getting a 0% rating is something. And those of you who know and understand know what I'm about to say. This says, if you receive a 0% disability rating for a service-connected condition, we call this a non-compensable disability. It means you can't get disability compensation payments for this condition, but you may be eligible for other VA benefits. Find out what benefits you qualify for with the 0% disability rating, and if you can file for an increased disability rating. Okay? Now check this out. What if I have 2 or more non-compensable disabilities, you ask? We may increase your disability rating to 10% if you have 2 or more non-compensable disabilities that make it difficult for you to work. Y'all want me to read that again? We may increase your disability rating to 10% if you have 2 or more non-compensable disabilities that make it difficult for you to work. If you receive a second non-compensable disability rating and you meet the requirements listed here, we will automatically increase your rating to 10%, and you don't need to file for an increase. We may increase your disability rating to 10% if all of these are true. You have 2 or more permanent non-compensable disabilities that are service-connected. You don't have any other VA disability ratings over 0% that you're receiving disability compensation for, and work is difficult for you because of your service-connected disabilities. Why is this important? Why is this important? I mean, y'all know, y'all looking at me, 10%, Craig, 10%. That's less than $200. Probably is. I get it. But listen, it's not all about the money, y'all. Do you realize that in order for you to be able to be eligible for, say, the VR&E program, to have a VR&E stipend, monthly stipend for educational, VR&E is vocational rehabilitation and education, okay? The regulation on that states that if you have an employment handicap, something that restricts you from working, okay? If you have an identified employment handicap, depending on the severity of that employment handicap, you could actually be approved for VR&E with a 10% rating. I know. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're very welcome. I know you guys are out there just thanking me away for that piece of information. Those of you who are watching. 66, thank you for joining. Global Entry 25, thank you for joining. Herbert's Voice, thank you for joining. I want to acknowledge all the saints and friends. Andy Perez, 5444, thank you for joining. Those of you that know the work of the testimony, and those of you that know the work of of the VA claims process, pass that along. You do realize that if you have what's called an employment handicap or a serious employment handicap, severe employment handicap, all you need is a 10% rating, provided that employment handicap keeps you from doing meaningful work, right? Or makes work difficult for you because of your service-connected disability. And if you have one or more 0%, two 0% disabilities that make it difficult for you to work, then you are rated at 10%. So you could be receiving a 10% disability, and you could be receiving a stipend every month for VR&E. And you will be improving your educational prowess, your educational acumen and aptitude, so that you can gain employment elsewhere, or gain employment even perhaps with the government under the vocational rehabilitation program. Okay? All right. That was free. I mean, I'm not even going to charge y'all for that. I won't charge y'all for nothing, but you know what I'm saying. That was free. So listen, don't despise the small 0%. Don't despise the small 0%, family. Everything adds up and everything matters when it comes to your VA compensation claim. So let's move on. We'll go for another few minutes. Okay, so remember we talked about, because a lot of people don't they don't understand the process, they miss opportunities to strengthen their claim, avoid mistakes, and protect their effective date. Protecting your effective date is filing that intent to file. All right, so today I want to walk you through just a little bit, because we won't be able to get to it all today. I want to walk you through exactly how a VA disability claim moves through the system, okay, from the moment you file until the day a decision is made. And if you guys have questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. I will be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Her best voice is in here. Maybe she can answer y'all questions. Maybe her best voice can pop on in and answer y'all question. Okay. No, I'll answer your questions. I'll answer the question. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about, first thing we need to talk about before we even talk about the VA claims process is you need to understand what every successful claim is built on. And this is something that I talk about all the time. In any one of my videos, you'll see in many of my videos, I'll talk about this idea of this Kaluza triangle, okay? And the Kaluza triangle is, you must have a current, there's 3 elements that raters look at, all right? 3 elements that raters look at, just 3 elements. Element number 1 is a current diagnosis. Element number 2 is an in-service injury, illness, or exposure event. And element number 3 is a nexus connecting those 2 things together, linking the diagnosis along with the in-service injury, illness, or event. I'm going to try to make it through element number 1 today in the time that we have together, okay? Element number 1 is a current diagnosis, which means you must have a current disability. Something's got to be going on. You can't just file for VA claims and there's nothing going on. You're not sick, you're not hurt, you didn't have an in-service injury, illness, or event, there's no exposure, nothing. You just want money. That's what we call fraud, waste, and abuse. So unless there's something actually going on, or there may be something going on that you don't know, right? So, you go get checked out and you start feeling a certain way and you say, man, there is something going on. I do have a diagnosis of something. That's the first thing you need, is actually that there is a condition or a problem. Not necessarily just symptoms, not just those sort of these suspicions. You have an actual diagnosed condition. What are some examples of those things that happen to people who are in the military? PTSD is one of them. Migraines is one of them. Sleep apnea. It could be tinnitus is a very common one, which is still congressionally mandated at 10%. Degenerative disc disease and depression. Those are just a few. Anxiety could be one of them as well. But there are a whole host in the 38 CFR of conditions that you might be experiencing or that you might be going through. Okay. So without a current diagnosis, a lot of claims fail immediately. Okay. Current diagnosis. What does that mean? It doesn't mean something that was acute, that you got diagnosed with years ago and actually it resolved or you healed from it. That's a very different thing than actually having a diagnosis that is current, right? That you're actually dealing with right now. Because when we talk about those three elements, oftentimes what's not discussed in a way that it should is current symptomology or current condition situations, right? And symptoms, like current things that are happening in your body right now as a result of what you were diagnosed for. Oftentimes we really don't think about that, because the chronicity of symptoms is what's important. I want to use this opportunity to discuss the difference between acute situations or acute conditions and chronic conditions. And I discussed this on the recent video as well when I was talking about gathering and collecting evidence. So an acute situation or acute condition is a condition that's transitory, meaning it's something that has come and gone. You experienced it like a cold or some sort of respiratory illness that did not stay, or some sort of respiratory illness that wasn't as a result of terror exposure. You had that come into your body. Like, for example, COVID would be an acute condition, right? Nobody has COVID or the flu like continually and experiences those things all the time or in a constant nature. Okay. But there are things that could be considered acute that are flares, but I'll talk about flare-ups in just a moment. So acute situations are things that came, they went, you struggled through them. You either went to the doctor or you self-medicated for those things and they corrected, right, in a small amount of time. Chronic situations are situations that are long lasting and situations where there is a recurring incident of injury. So chronic situations would be, let's say, for example, you injured your back. And so that's a service connected injury. But after injuring your back, you continue to have back pain over the years. I'll give you a prime example. I injured my back while I was in the military. And over the course of time in the military, because I had lower back issues, because I had lumbar issues, lumbar strain, lumbar issues, then whenever I would do, let's say, for example, like one time I was in the garden, trying to help my wife in her garden, and I bent over and I couldn't get back up. And that has happened to me like 4 or 5 times over the rest of my military career, where I bent over and, man, dang, I can't get up because something happened in my back that was really, really deteriorating, right? And so that's what's called a chronic condition, where you have back pain or you have shoulder pain or you have knee pain or joint pain over the course of time. And it's chronic. It keeps coming, right? It's not something that goes away. It's something that you're going to continue to deal with from a recurring nature, okay? That's the difference between chronic and acute. Okay, so you have to have a diagnosis of chronic pain. World Traveler 9430, thank you so much for joining us. It says, I just planned for sinus condition and I have multiple symptoms that was diagnosed by ENT doctor. What is the most I can get out of this rhinitis? I think what you're saying is, what's the most that you can get, right? Because 30 CFR and M21-1 change often, World Traveler 9430, I want to be able to give you the latest and greatest. Oh, you retracted your message. Okay, latest and greatest. Okay, you're writing it over again, but I think I understood what you're saying. So while you're retyping that message, I am going to look it up, and I'll put it here in the chat for you. Okay. Let's see. And this will be under the respiratory conditions, okay? World Traveler, I'm going to put it in there because I think I understood what you meant. All right. This is the link for sinusitis conditions. Now, remember, some sinusitis conditions can be considered presumptuous, connected with the PACT Act, and other sinusitis conditions are sinusitis conditions that are not presumptive, but are conditions like allergies that develop over time and that could still be service connected. So remember that as you go through. But as I'm looking through here, it really depends. The schedule of ratings for respiratory system, which is 4.97, is there are a lot of things that you can have because there are different diagnostic codes. So it really depends on the diagnostic codes that you have. There's a diagnostic code for bronchitis. There's a diagnostic code for pharynx, injuries to the pharynx, allergic or vasomotor rhinitis, a laryngectomy, laryngitis, those kinds of things, right? But the ratings, just to be safe, the ratings go from 0 to 100% world traveler, depending on the severity and chronicity of your injuries and of your condition. So I dropped the link where you can go in there and look at all the schedule of ratings for the respiratory system. And it has in there sinusitis, rhinitis, pharyngitis, bronchitis, and all of the other itises that are associated with that. Okay. Best of wishes to your claim. If you got more concerns, I dropped my email in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, but let me pop it up right there. I'm gonna pop my email up, and I'll just leave it there while we continue on. All right. Let me go on for another 5 minutes or so. I'm gonna get through this next part, and then we will bid you adieu. We will bid you all adieu. All right. Okay. Element number 2, and we've talked about it a little bit. An in-service injury, illness, or event. Let me get back to the chat because I don't want to miss nothing that y'all are saying over here. Okay. Let me get back to the chat. Okay. Element number 2, an in-service injury, illness, or exposure. Something must have happened during military service. Here are some examples of in-service injury, illnesses, or events. It could be combat exposure. And when it says combat exposure, remember, when you're thinking about VA claims or when you're thinking about the wherewithal of your VA symptoms, you got to think about combat exposure. So exposure to toxins, exposure to the actual aura of combat, right? The fog of war, exposure to enemy fire ambushes, exposure to weapons, exposure to all of those kinds of things, right? That's combat exposure, all right? Exposure just to the rigors of combat. Training injury is another example, all right? If you were in training while on active duty, and you injured something, or you ruptured something, or you hurt something, or you experienced a toxic work environment, okay, that also would be considered. What about a motor vehicle accident? Like, even if you listen, and one thing to help everyone understand, you do not have to be in the line of duty specifically, or you don't have to be in combat specifically. In the line of duty means that you were in the military, because what everybody knows, when you're in the military 24/7, right? You belong to that particular service, right? That's why your conduct has to be becoming all of the time while you're in the military, because you are always on when you're in the military. So motor vehicle accident that you have on base, off base, it doesn't matter. Any injuries sustained by that. These are just examples. Toxic exposure, and then military sexual trauma, which we all know what that is, and it's experienced by men and women in the military. And then the last thing would be repetitive wear and tear on your body while in the military. And I have in mind here, let's say you rucksack, or you went on humps if you're in the Marine Corps, or you're going through knee knockers, or you're going up and down ladder wells in ships, right? Or you have any kind of repetitive incidents where you're hopping on and off a Humvee or government vehicle, those kinds of things. Or you're jumping out of planes. It's just repetitive wear and tear on the musculoskeletal system and on the body parts and joints while you were doing that. Okay, so that's element number 2. And what we're going to try to do is get to element number 3. But before we get to element number 3, let me check out World Traveler's question here. Let me just make sure. Chronic rhinitis, chronic sinusitis, chronic maxillary sinusitis, allergic rhinitis due to pollen, hypertrophy of nasal turbinates, loss of sense of smell, insomnia, and obstructive sleep apnea syndrome. Okay, all of that is in the, let me say this, World Traveler 9430. All of those things are compensable conditions if you experience them while on active duty, and all of them have ratings, with the exception of maybe allergic rhinitis. Let me go back to my little thing here. I think the only thing that doesn't have a 100% rating associated with it is probably allergic rhinitis. But let me verify that. Say allergic rhinitis. Yeah. And thank you for the question too, by the way. Allergic or vasomotor rhinitis. The highest rating for allergic rhinitis would be 30%. So I think that's one of the only ones that doesn't have a 100% rating associated with it. Okay. It says I'm 80% now. These are for new sinus conditions. Okay, I got you. So the highest rating for allergic rhinitis would be 30%. Chronic maxillary sinusitis. Never heard of that one. Chronic maxillary. Yeah. Sinusitis, chronic maxillary. Okay. So the rate for chronic sinusitis maxillary, that could range from anywhere from 10 to 30%. Okay. So the general rating formula for sinusitis, for any sinusitis, could actually go to 50%. So the first one would be is only detected by X-ray. The next one would be a couple of incapacitating episodes a year over a certain period, and this is all in that link that I sent you. The next one would be 3 or more incapacitating episodes of sinusitis requiring prolonged, lasting 4 to 6 weeks, antibiotic treatment, or more than 6 non-incapacitating episodes per year of sinusitis. And then that's at 30%, and then the 50% would be following radical surgery or near constant sinusitis characterized by headaches, pain, and tenderness of affected sinus, and purulent discharge or crusting after repeated surgeries. The idea behind all of this, World Traveler, is say 50% obstruction, 5 antibiotics, and 6 months of treatment. Gotcha. Okay. Maybe polyps or cysts, they can't see it because of the obstruction. Got it. And hello, Bluebird, how are you? Okay. So basically I think based on what you're expressing to me, World Traveler, and based on what I'm reading here in the 38 CFR, I think you have a really good chance to be at max rating for sinusitis, because it seems that because if you have 5 antibiotics and 6 months of treatment, this means it's a recurring problem. Let's look at the 50%. It says following radical surgery with chronic osteomyelitis, near or constant sinusitis characterized by headaches, pain, and tenderness of affected sinus, and purulent discharge or crusting after repeated surgeries. You haven't had the surgery yet, so that means you'd come in probably at 30%, which is 3 or more incapacitating episodes per year of sinusitis requiring prolonged, lasting 4 to 6 weeks of antibiotic treatment. You've got that. Or more than 6 non-incapacitating episodes per year of sinusitis characterized by headaches, pain, and purulent discharge or crusting. I think you're there at the 30% because of the 6 months and the antibiotic treatment that you have. So I would file, if this is a new claim, I'd file the 526EZ for sinusitis, and I would gather and collect your evidence, and I would submit that as a new claim. I don't think you've been denied before. I don't think that's what you had said. So I would file that as a new claim. I do an intent to file that as a new claim, gather the evidence based on the treatment that you've had, based on the antibiotic treatment, based on if you've had incapacitating episodes, and if there's that last part of it, and it says or, so you have to have either or. But if you have all of it, that even strengthens your claim. Okay? All right, maybe polyps cysts. And then the other piece of it, nasal turbinates, all of that is connected to it under the general rating formula. Loss of sense of smell. Loss of sense of smell. Now, The only thing I'm disconnecting from that is it says, I think you mean insomnia. If it's insomnia, it's more of a sleep mental health disorder in relation to sleep disorders. The obstructive sleep apnea is still, a respiratory condition, but the insomnia, if you have insomnia, night terrors, restless sleep, if you have nightmares, if you have sleepwalk, like all of that is under the mental health condition. Okay, so the insomnia piece, I've described my symptoms to be fatigue and long term. I pointed to the VA that they referred me to an ENT doctor, and that's what they found. Okay, perfect. But yeah, so I just want to disconnect the insomnia from all of the respiratory conditions, which I think are legitimate and fine based on what you described. So let's disconnect the insomnia from that. And the insomnia is going to be placed on maybe the 21-4138 as a statement of support or claim for mental health issues. When you do the insomnia, World Traveler, make sure that you connect the insomnia to whatever other depression, anxiety, mental health concerns, or PTSD that you have, and that will be underneath that claim. Okay, and that's rated under the schedule of ratings 4. This keeps falling. That's under schedule of ratings 4.130 in the 38 CFR 4.130. Okay, let me see if I can find a link for that for you, and I'll drop it in. Love these questions, Bluebird. I see you. Let me put the schedule of ratings in here. Copy. When you file your mental health claim, World Traveler, I want you to use that particular reference. It's the 4.130. Okay. CPAP machine. Yep. 50%. Expand all these nasal respiratory issues, as well as I was referred to via. Okay. That's how they find out. Yep. Perfect. I mean, not perfect that you're experiencing these situations. I'm very sorry for that. But perfect in how you're organizing your evidence for your claim. I think it's perfectly fine. I think it's fantastic. Okay. Bluebird, thank you for joining us. Helping a friend out with a claim, and she was denied PTSD, but the examiner diagnosed her with anxiety and depressive disorder instead. How can we file the claim? PTSD evidence was already submitted. Very easy to continue on with that claim, Bluebird, because on mental health ratings, the VA grants one. You're very welcome, World Traveler. Anytime, grab that email address. If you got more questions, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to answer them. So Bluebird, the VA combines. As a matter of fact, I have 4.130 here up in front of me. The VA combines all mental health ratings into one rating. It doesn't matter what disorder you have, they're going to do it under one rating anyway. So you may have symptoms of PTSD. You may have symptoms of major or mild depressive disorder or something like that. I think people really get caught up on the actual nomenclature of the mental health concern, but they don't realize that the VA is simply looking at those symptoms. They haven't changed it yet. There's a proposal to change it to a different structure. But for now, under 38 CFR, they have it listed as a general rating formula for mental disorders. So I'll read the top of the 38 CFR, top of 4.130, so you can see what I'm saying. The nomenclature employed in this portion is based on APA's DSM-5. And if I was at home, I'd pull out my little DSM-5. It's not little. It's about that thick. But I pull out my DSM-5 so you guys can see it. The VA uses that DSM-5 in order to rate mental health conditions. Okay, so it says here, rating agencies must be thoroughly familiar with this manual to properly implement the directives in 4.125 through 4.129 and to apply the general rating formula for mental disorders in 4.130. The schedule for rating mental disorders is set forth as follows, and they have like schizophrenia, schizotypal disorder, the schizophrenia spectrum. They got like schizoaffective disorder, delirium, mild or major depression, neurocognitive disorder, phobias, persistent depressive disorders. They have all of that grouped under one, right? And the next thing you'll read is the general rating formula at the levels of 0, 30, 50, 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, and 100%. Remember, 100% is total occupational and social impairment. I'm just going to read the 100% one, right? Total occupational and social impairment due to such symptoms as gross impairment in thought processes or communication, persistent delusions or hallucinations, grossly inappropriate behavior, persistent danger or hurting self or others, intermittent inability to perform activities of daily living. I talk about activities of daily living so much on the channel, including maintenance of minimal personal hygiene, disorientation to time or place, memory loss for names of close relatives, own occupation, or own name. Okay? So Bluebird, they're going to look at that. They're going to look at all of the symptoms. They're going to look at the DSM-5 criteria. They're going to look at the veteran's personal statement. They're going to look at the CMP exam that they talked to with the behavioral health specialist. And they're going to match all, and they're going to look at the in-service injury, illness, or event or exposure and the diagnosis. And they're going to match all of that based on the general rating formula that you find here in 4.130. And I have posted that link into the chat for your further research. And I am not British, so I don't know why I'm talking like I'm British. And I probably don't have a good British accent either. But I'm so grateful that you guys have joined us. World Travel, I see you. Anxiety 30% right now. I see you. If you are World Travel, if you're at 80% overall, to get to 100%, I believe that you should probably use. I mean, it's a ton of calculators out there. Let's see. But this is the one that I like. And if you want to know where, like how close, if you want to know how close, it's 66. Listen, let me tell you something, 66. All I'm missing is a British accent. All I'm missing. If I had a British accent, 66, I would tell people that I'm Idris Elba's cousin, and they had to believe it. They had to believe it. Bluebird, thank you, Bluebird. I'm making right now, Bluebird. I appreciate your support, Bluebird. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. But right now, I'm trying to make my case to 66 that if I had a British accent, people would think I'm Idris Elba's cousin. Can't you see it? It's a great day, isn't it? It's a great day, isn't it? No. I'm messing with y'all. Listen, I don't see any other questions. I'm so grateful and thankful that you guys have joined me. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like the content that we're providing over here. Stay tuned for some wonderful goodies that we have for you guys at the end of the month. Myself, Hervet's Voice, KMD 89 Consulting, and a bunch of other VA claim experts that are absolutely fantastic. We're going to be doing this for about 6 hours, I think. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And y'all got to bring the food. Okay, but go over to Hervet's Voice. Good enough for a free Stark dinner. I see you, 66. Go over to Hervet's Voice channel. Make sure you continue to follow Dwayne's channel for more information, and we'll be advertising that for you guys as well. What we really, really want to do, is we want to make sure that every veteran has everything that they can possibly need in order to file the claim in a current, accurate, and complete way. And so we appreciate you guys, and we're thankful for all of your support. Let me read this real quick, Bluebird. I had my HLR yesterday, and the drawer was shocked at the amount of errors missed from the initial claim. It went extremely well and positive. Wow. Grateful for that. Thank God for that, Bluebird. And I hope that it works out well and in your favor. So grab some Garrett's after I leave work here in a little bit. Oh, Bluebird, why you going to... You in the shy? Jeez, man, see? That ain't even right. That ain't even right. Listen, you didn't have to put that in there, Bluebird. That you go to get Garrett's. Listen, I'm over here. I got to get this store-bought Garrett's. I can't even go down to the shop and get it, to the actual Garrett's and get it. You know what, Bluebird? This is just for that. I'm going to take my wife to Chicago and get some real Garrett's popcorn just because you said that. Now, enjoy your popcorn. Enjoy your Garrett's. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, guys, no matter what's happening, no matter what's going on, no matter what you're facing or no matter what you're going through, always live royally and live well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I keep you in my prayers. I keep you in my thoughts. And I keep you in my heart as veterans who are on the journey. So make sure you do something nice for yourself. Take care of yourself. And we will see you next time.